You are listening to Confessions of a Counselor podcast with Janice, mental health in bite-sized chunks. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Confessions of a Counselor. I'm your host, Janice, and in today's episode, I thought we would talk about therapy and the impact on our lives. So I think oftentimes we use therapy as a means to an end, right? Or something's happened and then we go to therapy. And I kind of wanted to share some of my thoughts on therapy as an ongoing or preventative measure. So let's jump right in. This is something that I think is really important. I think that in the past, therapy's often been seen as something that only someone with severe mental illness or only someone who has significant impact or trauma in their life is going to use, that therapy is only effective if we have some big crisis, right? And so oftentimes I don't see clients until after an event has happened or after something major has happened in their life, which is fine, right? Like that is a choice to be made. And I've even asked clients over the years and asked different people, you know, when would you most likely most likely look for therapy or seek out therapy. And oftentimes people will say after a crisis, right? After something has happened, which is really helpful, right? If something big happens in our lives, it can be really helpful to be able to talk about it and process it. And what I see really beneficial is that when someone has come to therapy and worked through things and talked about things and we're kind of in that maintenance mode and something else happens or a big life event shifts for them, that when they're actively already in therapy, that crisis or trauma or thing that's happening for them often feels less big, right? They're able to manage it better. They're able to talk about it and process it while it's happening rather than having to go back and relive that experience. So oftentimes they walk away from those situations feeling much better. And so I really think that starting to gain awareness around and starting to talk about therapy as a preventative measure, right? Therapy is something that we do before stuff hits the fan, before we feel like we're in crisis, before a trauma happens. And learning the skills and learning the tools and starting to talk about all of the wonderful things that we talk about in therapy, it could be so much more beneficial than waiting until afterwards. So therapy as an impact of learning, therapy as a way to buffer ourselves for the world, therapy as a way to understand ourselves so that the world feels less overwhelming. And this is kind of the approach that I take and why I like working with the 20-somethings, because oftentimes we can dive in and get those skills and learn those skills while they're still learning. So a little nugget to think about and something to think about and to share with others, therapy as a preventative measure. Okay, until next time, take care. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Confessions of a Counselor podcast is available anywhere you like to listen to your podcasts, both on Apple and Android. New episodes are released every Friday. If you enjoyed today's episode, please feel free to join the conversation, leave a review, or subscribe to the podcast hosted on Spotify. You can find all these details on JaniceLyons.com. Until next time, take care.